For my presentation is a little bit science based, because that was the brief, because I was very excited to give the presentation on nanoscaling up, because what the presentation you saw in the morning from the DST, but they said no, is too many presentation on product development, tell a little bit about science. So, but not science, don't be scared, because this is not a scientific conference, so I'm not going to explain how we are getting, how we'll explain the results. So thanks again to the organizer to give me this opportunity. So what the title of my talk is Nanoclay minerals and plastics, and how we are actually beneficiating our South African nanoclay to develop actually advanced composite materials. So I'll start with a little bit about one slide on what is nanoscience and nanotechnology. I think all of you know. And then technology development map, how actually this technology growing worldwide. Then market growth and application, then nanoclay minerals. Then what is the technology all about, nanoclay containing plastic technology. And the benefits of the technology and processing and structure. And some of the results I will show you that 2 products already in the commercialization state, because we are about to signing the actually technology transfer agreement with 2 companies, one in India and one is local here, and also advanced cosmetics, and then I'll finish my presentation with a brief conclusion. So I think all of you know that the nanoscience and nanotechnology, but what we are interested in, when you actually transfer one of the dimension of materials from the bulk to the nanoscale, you will always see very interesting and unbelievable properties. Some of the properties you never imagine or expected. And these are mechanical properties, electrical properties, or electronic properties. And I think all of you know what is the science about the discovery and study, and technology, we are using that science to develop products and various applications. And at the center, we are actually trying to cover the full value chain. So we are doing application-oriented fundamental science, then we are converting fundamental science to a semi-scale-up type of production, and we are taking that scale-up production to product development, and we have a technology partner we are guiding us on product development. But I think you know this, what all about the nanoscience. We are actually trying to understand or doing the chemistry and understanding the physics at the nanoscale, and you know the nanoscale is 1 nanometer is the 10 to the power minus 9 meter. So how actually this technology actually developing? This technology started in the beginning of 1990s, but first product came into the market is around 2008, 2009. So we generally call that is the first generation on passive nanostructure materials or nano-based products. Now we are actually in the second generation of nanostructure or nanotechnology or nanostructure materials, and more the smart materials, bioactive materials, number of drug delivery systems, also number of devices, and also the 3D transistor. What you are presenting heard us, that is a big impact on our 3D printing on nanotechnology as well. And we are expecting the next generation of nanosystems that is actually mostly self-assembling and 3D networking, and also different kind of architectures and robotics as well. And the last generation we are saying about the 4th generation we call is the molecular nanosystem. And we are thinking still atomic scale design, but because you will take one atom one by one and you developed the product or the system, and that is the true nanotechnology we are expecting almost 15 to 20 years from now. And nowadays, is a various kind of nanostructure materials, and what you are giving the presentation on Boeing Dreamliner, I think there is all composites is the nanocomposites, is the carbon nanofiber based epoxy composite in that Dreamliner. And we are fortunate, when I was in Japan, that is from that team that came that whole product, joint product with the Toray, that is a Toyota company, with the Boeing. So there are various kind of nanostructure or nano building block. Is the Nanoclay one of them, and the fullerenes, that is the first nanostructure materials, carbon nanotubes, graphene, and nanoparticles, quantum dots, and nanofibers. But we are mostly interested on Nanoclay as a building block from our side to develop nanotechnology based products. So what is the market is saying about the growth of this technology or different kind of nanostructure materials? You can see the significant growth on the minerals is 28%, then metals also 26% growth rate. Polymer based nanocomposite is the most growth, is close to 56% growth, and new materials also growth is very high, particularly quantum dots or for drug delivery system is huge growth. And you can find all this information from the Fredonia group. We bought that report a couple of years back. And what are the nanostructure materials application area? In a big application area is the packaging, to smart packaging area. We are doing lot of the research on smart packaging. I'll show you some of the example. Then another area, actually your biomedical application, fire retardant, consumer product, but I will give you a couple of examples in different areas what we are working. And what are the actually nanostructure materials consumption on different areas? And you can say that nanoclay is the almost 50% of consumption of nanostructure materials, and then also nanotubes, particularly carbon nanofiber or nanotubes and various other metal nanotubes. Then also nanobiocomposite, not started now will start soon, and then also various other metal and different other areas as well. So the question is now how to convert a composite to nanocomposite, and one of the actually challenging area is you need the nanoscale dispersion of your particles in the matrix. This matrix can be ceramics, matrix can be polymer, matrix can be metal, it does not matter. But if you're not able to get the nano level dispersion or nanoscale dispersion, you never get the benefit of nanotechnology. Because one of the beauty is when you have a nano level dispersion, so your nano filler or nano building block actually offer huge surface area, and because of that surface area, the most of the properties will change. So, and composite, particularly clay, nanofiber or nano particles, our target is what kind of chemistry you have to do, or what kind of physics or engineering we have to understand, even the processing technology, what we have to understand to get the nano level dispersion in a polymer matrix, because we are focusing mostly on polymer matrix. So according to our definition of nanocomposites, that you need at least one of the dimension at the nanoscale, and nanoscale we generally call is below 100 nanometer. So we are actually, that I said, we are mostly interested on nanoclay minerals. What is the nanoclay minerals? Is just a layered silicate structure, and you can see that the platelet type of geometry, and is a very very thin. Is one of the clay platelets thickness of one of the clay platelet is 0.86 nanometer. So you cannot believe in some of you can see how thin one platelet. And why we are very interested for mostly commodity application, because this is already considered by FDA, is generally recognized as safe. I think all of you know that from the long time we are using the clay for number of products, and particularly in the medical field. Then also got huge high aspect ratio, because that is the most important part when you want to use nanostructure materials to improve the mechanical properties, because you need that kind of transfer of of transfer of actually stress between the filler to matrix and matrix to the filler. And also polymer possible interlayer chemistry that I will come back just now. Then is a highly abundant because it's a very cheap material, and you can see we have a huge source of nanoclay minerals in South Africa as well. And nanoclay platelet, I think that 1/10th diameter of 1/10,000 diameter of the human hair. And what we are trying to do and what benefit we are expecting that when you are able to disperse nanoclay particles in the polymer matrix or any nanoparticles in any matrix, then you will get huge benefit on mechanical properties improvement. So I will show you some of the example what we are getting. You can increase the stiffness without loss of flexibility. That is the most important part, because I think who are working on composite, or this is a general understanding, that if you incorporate a foreign materials inside a matrix, you immediately lose the ductility of the matrix, because you make the matrix more actually ductile, less ductile. And at the same time, you have the increased dimensional stability. And also for nanoclay platelets, because of the platelet type of orientation or geometry, if you disperse the nanoplatelets inside the polymer matrix, you can have improved barrier properties, and that is we are looking for the packaging application. Then chemical and thermal stability, then you can also improve the flame retardant behavior of polymer matrix, and you can have a much better flowability because of the clay platelet like of structure. It can always, there is a slipping effect during processing, so always you have a much better processability. So I will give you some of the example. Now in general, what you know, the clay minerals are hydrophilic in nature, and most of the polymer matrix hydrophobic. So how actually incorporate your hydrophilic clay minerals particle inside the hydrophobic matrix? So that is the most important part, the chemistry you have to do. So you can do number of chemistry. You can because of there are a number of hydroxyl group on the surface of the clay, so you can do lot of chemistry at the nanoscale. Then you can actually polymerize your monomer on the surface of the clay. You can also graft different kind of small macromolecules on the surface of the clay, or other things you can do because they contain a number of good amount of sodium or potassium or calcium cation inside the clay gallery. So you can replace that cations by the surfactant, and when you replace the cation inside the surfactant by surfactant, you can actually convert hydrophilic sulfate to a hydrophobic one. And what we are doing, that is, if you come to the building 23, there is a huge plant. We are actually doing scaling almost 100 kilograms level. We are actually converting through the simple ion exchange reaction hydrophilic clay to an organophilic one. So, and what is the benefit of that? There is a twofold benefit. When you are replacing the sodium or in interlayer cations by surfactant, you are actually increasing, or you can converting the surface from hydrophilic to hydrophobic, and at the same time, because the size of the surfactant is much higher than small cations, actually you are expanding the gallery between the two platelets, and you need that expansion of gallery because your macromolecules chain must be go inside that gallery to have an intercalated structure. So what we are doing now, we can use now different kind of processing techniques. You have now organically modified clay, but ultimate aim that I said, you need the nanoscale dispersion in your matrix. So you can actually do in situ polymerization. That's, I said that you actually disperse your nanoparticles or nanoclay minerals inside the monomer, then you can polymerize, then you have one kind of nanocomposites. We generally call in situ polymerization. And then one you can actually dissolve your polymer in a solution, and you can disperse solvent, and you can disperse your clay platelets in the same solvent, then you can mix, then you can evaporate the solvent, you can get also composite materials. And another is a melt intercalation, because you melt your polymer at high temperature above the melting point of the polymer, and at the same time you add your clay inside the melt, so have a melt intercalation, because you can use the extruder that generate the force, and that force actually help you for the macromolecular chain, because at the melt state macromolecular chains already got very low viscosity, so it move in. And this is the mostly industrially viable techniques, and at the center we are only using the melt intercalation technique. But ultimate aim is to have a nano level dispersion of your clay platelets in the matrix. And this is some of the dispersion, you can say, see the nanoclay platelets in the polypropylene matrix. And one of the beauty of this, you can control the dispersion by doing different kind of surface chemistry. And sometimes you need also orientation of your nanoparticles inside the matrix to have a better mechanical and barrier properties. So now these are the, you can see these are nanoclay platelets. The thickness is less than 1 nanometer and the length is couple of hundred of meters. Yes, nanometer. So I'll show you some of the example of advanced plastics. So what we are trying to do, that when we are incorporating nanoparticles, nanoclay particles inside the polymer matrix, we are not only improving the mechanical properties of the matrix, we are actually improving the toughness of the matrix. And this is the unique of the nanocomposite technology. You are not losing any, you are not disturbing the inherent properties of the macromolecules. And why this is happening? Because you are adding very, very low weight percent of clay platelets inside the polymer matrix. Because if you go to the conventional composites, you need almost 30 to 40%, even sometimes 50% of your filler to get a certain level of mechanical properties. So here you can, if you just incorporate 3-8% of organically modified, so around 2-8% of silicate, you will get that level of improvement. So at the, like a first, second speaker, what he was saying, that everything now going to lighter and tougher and smart. So this is this way you can develop composite with a lighter and tougher. Then also you can improve the mechanical properties almost one-fold by adding just 10-8% of organic clay. So it is around 5 to 6% of your silicate inorganic, and at the same time you can improve the dimensional stability, because that is the most important part for molded product. Because if you I think some of you got experience that if you keep the molded product like the bucket or some of the tray outside under sun, you can see that the dimension of the molded product changed, if you keep whole day. So that is the one of the beauty. By using the nanocomposite technology, you can improve the heat distortion, temperature, and at the end the dimensional stability. Then again, that I said some of the example that you can convert highly opaque material to somehow translucent type of materials. You can do the chemistry at the time of processing. And what is the beauty of this? By adding the nanoparticles that I said, I will say a couple of times, that you actually developing a materials that is super tough and at the same time super steep as well. And at the same time, there is a significant improvement in thermal degradation behavior as well. So one of the thing actually packaging industry, what packaging industry need, packaging industry main criteria is the transparency. So packaging material must be transparent. But if you add a filler inside the polymer matrix, for this reason you can see very little use of composite material for transparent packaging. Because if you add the filler, you will immediately lose the transparency of the polymer matrix. But what we found in our research, if we add the nanoclay particles inside the polymer matrix, even you can improve the transparency. So what is happening, because you are getting the nanoclay dispersion, nano level dispersion, and that is beyond our visible region. So you cannot, that will not disturb the dispersion on transparency. But what is happening, nanoclay particles also acting as a nucleator of the polymer matrix. So that nanoclay particles at the nano level dispersion actually helping the polymer macromolecular chains to crystallize at a very small scale. So previously the crystal size was much bigger. Now because of the nucleating effect, you are getting much smaller crystal. And when you have a much smaller crystal, that is actually not disturbed within the visible range. So you can see that when you added the clay, this is polypropylene, you are getting much more better transparency. Similarly, you can improve the fire retardant properties of the materials, because most of the cases what we are using, bromine is the one of the commonly used fire retardant materials. And this is already banned, because when there is some fire, bromine gas is coming out. That is more dangerous than the fire. So what we are developing the technology, you can say that this is the neat polymer, this is a composite polymer, and both is a very important part, that ignition to the fire is actually delayed, and at the same time there is no dipping effect, okay, and at the same time of the reduction of smoke. So that is another area we are working at the center. And that I said that one of the biggest challenge, particularly polyolefin industry, you know, that how to mold polyolefin, particularly polypropylene, polyethylene, that kind of polymer, every day we are using, how to mold polypropylene at higher temperature. Because every industry is going for an energy efficient mode. So if you want to mold high temperature, what you need, your mold must be solid at high temperature as soon as it will be come out from the mold. So that means your materials must be crystallized at high temperature. So you have to improve the crystallization temperature of the polymer matrix. So we developed technology and at the center, and we are able to increase the crystallization temperature of polypropylene almost 15 degree centigrade. So you can now mold polypropylene almost 15 degree temperature higher than the normal industry is doing. And that is a huge impact to the energy efficiency of the polypropylene molding industry. So you can see this is the normal polypropylene, this is a nanocomposite nanoclay containing polypropylene. And this is actually much higher than now commercially available filler to actually improve the crystallization temperature. And finally, some of the example of, so you can decrease the permeability of gases. So most of the cases, I think you know that meat packaging particularly, you need 7 to 9 layers of polypropylene, and they put 9 layers together to have a meat package. Why are they doing that? They are delaying the progress of the gas through the matrix. So now that is because of to develop a 9 layers or 7 layers packaging is a quite actually extensive process. So our technology, what we are trying to do now, how to develop or what kind of materials we have to develop to have the same level of barrier properties, but it will be great if we get 1 layer, that means only composite, but our now target is up to 3 layers. So what we are trying to do now, how to improve the barrier properties, and to improve the barrier property, if you just have a simple rule, you need the dispersion of nanoclay platelets in such a way, orientation, that actually delay the passage of the gas molecule inside your matrix. So we are actually able to decrease in the normal packaging close to almost 200 to 30 these are PLA based products. So finally, you can control the degradation also with nanocomposite technology. That is a huge implication for the environmentally friendly products. environmental friendly product, and degree, depending on the degree of dispersion, you can control the degradability. For some of the application, you want that your biomaterials, bio-based composite must have a longer life cycle. For some of the application, you need very shorter life cycle. Particularly Prius car, I think that is our research product from the Toyota R&D. We developed a PLA-based composite that must have a longer lifetime. So we try to block all polyester using the nanocomposite technology to have delay the degradation. But for packaging application, and we need very quick degradation, so you can control the degradation. Finally, we are doing some work. This is soon it will be in the market because we are in the last stage. We have already signed the first step of agreement, and the second, the commercial agreement is going on, technology transfer with AMCA. So one of the biggest challenge for petroleum jelly, I think all of you are using during winter. If you keep the petroleum jelly for longer than 1 month or 2 months, you will see the coloration, discoloration. You can see Eulis type of color. And that is what is happening because that petroleum jelly, there is a wax based on the polymer macromolecular chain, and it generally degrades with the time. So is it possible to stop the degradation using the Nanoclay technology? And at the same time, other things, is it possible to improve the rheological properties? So what we did, actually, this is the joint project with us. So we have a expertise on nanoparticles, and AMCA got expertise on the cosmetic formulation. So after the incorporation of nanoclay particles inside the petroleum jelly, now this is the stable for more than a year. You will see the white color more than a year. And at the same time, we improve the rheological property, so it will actually much smoother on your skin. So that is actually product you will see in the market soon. And finally, also another kind of product is also the slow release of your active ingredients, because in the cosmetic industry use number of active ingredients. So we incorporated or intercalated those active ingredients inside the clay gallery, and we have a very slow release. So these are some of the products will have production in commercial level soon. So finally, this is the summary of my presentation. So I try to convince you that using nanoclay and nanocomposite technology, you will be able to make advanced plastic and cosmetic. And nanocomposite offer the same processing and recycle benefits as well, because it is much easier to recycle. And at the same time, use of nanocomposite technology have a good environmental impact, because you will use less plastic, and you have a much tougher, lighter materials, and you can improve the fire property, thermal stability, scratch resistance, and as well as UV resistance. And at the same time, if you use the biopolymers, for your packaging application, you will be able to fine tune the degradation of the matrix. So thanks again for coming.